when it was the Stettin Boladome. In 1953, it became Days Boladome, which is the 1991 site for the City Match Game Tournament. Wausau's top 24 bowlers took to the lanes for this most prestigious bowling event. And now we're down to the final 5. The City Match Game Tournament is next.
From Days Boladome in Wausau, this is the 11th annual City Match Game Bowling Tournament. This TV9 Sports exclusive is brought to you by Reserve and People's State Bank. Now, let's go out to the lane.
From Days Boladome in Wausau, Wisconsin, this is the 11th annual City Match Game Tournament. Hello, everyone. I'm Newsline 9 Sports Director Jim Sosha, and joining me today for the tournament is former Newsline 9 Sports Director Randy Allen. Randy, nice to see you again. Very interesting tournament. These guys have, in effect, been qualifying to get to this final round for 6 or 7 months, haven't they?
Well, it truly is achievement of excellence over a long period of time. The tournament format starts with the top 20 averages from the Wausau City Men's Association, and then adds a rabbit squad, an additional qualifying round at the end of the season to determine 4 more bowlers to get a good composition from all the houses here. So it's 24 of the top bowlers, not just over a weekend, but season long. Those who have bowled the best throughout the course of the year that arrive here for the final roll-off and then the step-ladder finals.
It's interesting. You have all year to build up that average, and then suddenly you're down to today, 1 game. If you have it, you advance. If you don't, you go home. A lot of pressure.
Well, the bowlers will certainly have to deal with the pressure. The TV lights, the step-ladder final, the crowd that's here, and who can ever maintain their composure and concentrate and focus on their target line, their ball speed, their arm swing is going to emerge the champion. And they'll have to adjust quickly, too. It's not a 6-game block or an 8-game block where they've got several games to see how the lane conditions are. From one frame to the next, they're going to have to adjust and adjust quickly, and primarily with speed in order to cope with changing conditions under the TV lights.
Now, yesterday, in what was really the final phase of qualifying for our finals, 24 bowlers bowled 6 games. The top 5 are here. How do you size up this field today?
Well, the age-old question about bowling in a step-ladder final, would you prefer to be in the number 1 position and wait for the other 4 bowlers to determine who bowls against you, or would you sooner be in that 5 or 4 position and develop a little momentum and get comfortable with the lanes? Our top qualifier, Tom Rawle, finished strong in his qualifying round, the 6-game block, with a 771 final 3. Jim Bain opened with 278 and is a good spare bowler. Bill Sawinski with an 833 career high can string him. He's got that breakaway ability. Kurt Day, Bill Reinschmidt, good steady bowlers, but I think it's going to be speed and the ability to put those spares in between the strikes that will determine the champion.
Going back to Bain, he's won this tournament a couple of times. Does that give him much of an advantage here today?
Certainly. I think anyone who's been in the pressure of the step-ladder final in any championship event and has won 2 titles can probably cope with it the best. It's a little anxious when you get out there under TV conditions to maintain your concentration. But I agree with you. I think the fact that Jim's been here a couple of times before is certainly an advantage for him.
Kurt Day against Bill Reinschmidt in our first match of the day, and it should be a good one. We'll be back with the action in a minute.
It happens every spring. The boys of summer return to the ballparks, and St. Clair's hosts a spring spectacular. I'm Dave Yankee of St. Clair's Menswear. I don't know who will win the pennant, but I do know that our spring spectacular values are worth scoring. For a very short period of time, get 15% off spring and summer suits, sport coats, and blazers. That's 15% off. But hurry, the sale ends April 27th.
Every city has one truly fine men's store. In Wausau, it's St. Clair's, downtown on 3rd Street.
Stop in and check out the Reeser Oil Mobile Mart in your neighborhood. It's not just a place to get gas. It now has all the conveniences you need. Reeser Mobile Marts have a variety of groceries, pizza, soda, beer, snack counter, magazines, car care needs. No more waiting in those long grocery store checkout lines. Next time you're filling up with Reeser's brand name gasoline, pick up those little extras at the same time. Reeser Oil Mobile Marts, your most convenient convenience store. 11 North Central Wisconsin locations.
Jim Sosha, Randy Allen back at Days Boladome, match number 1. Our first bowler, Bill Reinschmidt.
Jim, we talked about it a little bit earlier in our preview to the finals here, that the pressure of the lights, the experience of being in a stepladder final is going to be difficult for the bowlers to adjust to. And you can see on that first shot, Bill tugged it a little bit, came inside his target line, and it's a big spare for him to get off on the right foot.
No signs of butterflies there. Reinschmidt gets a nice hand. Bill Reinschmidt, 36 years old, his home house, Paper City Lanes, going against this guy, Kurt Day, 25-year-old Wausonian, I believe. And guess where his home house is, Randy?
Well, if anybody should be familiar with the house, it should be Kurt. And he gets a break crossing over with that first delivery. You'll notice that Kurt elected to have Bill start the match on 7 and bowl that single frame. So after throwing his shadow balls, Kurt had the choice to make there, and he wanted Bill to throw that first ball. So Kurt will be finishing the match first on 7 when we get into those crunch frames 8, 9, and 10.
Day gonna cross over again. If you see a good thing, stick with it. So he's perfect through 2 frames.
Well, what a gift getting a Brooklyn double this early in the match. But as I mentioned, Kurt should know the house pretty well. He's run from the butterflies like everybody else. His father, of course, Russ Day, owner and proprietor of Day's Bowl Dome, where our finals are.
Reinschmidt leaves a solid 10-pin, so he's got that mark up in the first and a 9 count here in the second. Reinschmidt was our 5th place qualifier in yesterday's 6-game qualifying round. He averaged 210 for 6 games. He had a 12.63 series. Kurt Day, a 12.66. His average, 211.
And a big spare again for Bill. These bowlers will search for their hook zone a little bit out there, but they're both clean through 2 frames, which is a good start for both of them. Kurt probably the most powerful of anybody in the field of 5 here today. He'll put the most crank on the ball. Bill is more of a stroker.
Seven count in the third. You know, Randy, all of these guys are really tournament-tested bowlers. You don't average at least 207 through the course of the year without bowling some tournaments, but not this kind of tournament environment.
Well, they're bowling under a condition that's about 24 feet of short oil with 3 units on the edge, a little bit of a crown in the middle, so they don't want to throw past that condition. They don't want to get the speed up, and Bill's done that on a couple of his shots. He's sent the ball a little bit long, a little bit too much speed. Now Kurt, with the benefit of that crossover double, will try and take advantage of it. Bill is clean through 3 frames, but Kurt is nursing about a 15-pin lead here, so he can take control of the match early.
Let's see if he continues with that Brooklyn here. It's been good for him so far. A little more conventional.
He's hot. He made the adjustment. You see him send that ball a little bit wider, get out in that hook zone, send it down the boards, and arc the ball a little bit more. So he's made that adjustment right away, where Bill has been tugging on the ball a little bit and sending it inside his target line. Tremendous inside-out swing from Kurt, too. If you take a look at that backswing, he gets that ball behind his hip a little bit. What all good young bowlers want to try and do is get that swing inside out. There's the hazard of too much speed. He forced that ball a little bit, threw it a little bit too hard, and it didn't react for him. And now he's got a tough spare. He'll have to go across the condition to get this bucket. This might be the break that Bill's looking for to get back in the match after Kurt opened with a 3-bagger. Kurt probably prone to not as steady spare shooting as some of the bowlers here. Missed some key spares in the qualifying round that almost cost him the top 5.
Looked real good on that one, though. So after 3 in a row, he closes the 7th frame. And we talked about it in the pre-match show, Randy. Neither bowler wants to make a big mistake, and so far they haven't.
Well, Bill is still a little bit nervous out there. He doesn't want to make that mistake outside his hook area out there, so he's tugged a little bit, and he's got a few breaks in that he hasn't came up with the split as yet. Bill needs to stay clean, keep marking, keep spearing along until he can get that double in there, find his strike area, and catch up. Through 4 now. Kurt was 76 with the mark in the 4th, and Bill with 55. So we've got about a 21-pin margin here for Kurt.
This time an 8 count, and he's going to have to convert another spare. Ryan Schmidt, 36 years old, from Mosinee, bowling in this tournament for only the 2nd time. Last year was his first appearance in the City Match Game Tournament, and he finished in 17th place. Well, he's still hanging around, Randy, but he's going to have to string a few strikes together here pretty quick.
Well, Kurt can really take control of the match if he comes back strong here. Bill just can't find his strike area. He's a little bit quick with his footwork. He's forcing the ball a little bit. Kurt looks comfortable out there, as I guess you might expect, bowling in his home house.
Well, I think he got a little break there, very high on the head pin, and manages to get a 9 count. How many games do you think this guy has bowled at Days Bowl-O-Dome since he started when he was 5 years old?
Well, I imagine he's been out here 40, 50 games a week. You grow up in a bowling alley. It's kind of like growing up on a golf course, I suppose. And Kurt's learned the game well. He can string them as well as anybody in our field here. And he got a break there when he tugged that ball and got that arm swing a little bit left and yanked it. But he got a break converted, so he's still in firm control of the match.
Unlike some of our bowlers in this field, even though he grew up at the bowling alley, Day doesn't really bowl a lot of tournaments. A couple a year, and that's enough for him, he says.
Well, he did the same thing again, although he's got double wood now to convert, which would be a little bit tougher. Days is a carry house. You get the ball up to the pocket, and you'll get good pin action here. Good pin action off the sideboards on the pin deck itself. You just can't afford to not be around that head pin, and you'll bust up a lot of those splits here too. Tough
Nicely
spin.
done.
Nice job at a
done.
tough spin.
Okay, we're going to take a short break, but we'll be back with more of the City Match Game Bowling Tournament, brought to you by Reeser and People's State Bank after this.
People who enjoy working with people like you. People working hard and smart to manage your money safely and well. Banking the people's way. You'll enjoy working with us. People's State Bank, member FDIC, Wausau, Rib Mountain, and Marathon.
Strike up a good time. Bowl at one of your Wausau area bowling lanes. Bowling is a great family activity. Be part of the fun of league action. Or come out during open bowling, just for the enjoyment. Bowling provides great exercise for all ages. From service to refreshments, we're here to help you. Join Wausau's Strike Force. Enjoy bowling soon. This message is brought to you by the Wausau Area Bowling Proprietors.
Back at Days Bowl-O-Dome, Jim Socha, Randy Allen, Bill Reinschmidt rolling here in the 6th frame.
Pulls it left again, but he gets his first break of the match. That crossover Brooklyn, and that's a start for him.
And you saw him with a little smile directed for Kurt Day. They looked at each other and laughed a little because they both had a lot of success on the wrong side of the head pin, I guess you'd have to say.
And Bill will try and take advantage of that break now. Through 5, Kurt 113 after that 3-banker to open with. And through 5, Bill with 93. still a little tight. Both bowlers reacting to the pressure of television, the lights out there. Reluctant to send it wide, to trust it. Trust is a must, as you've heard before. But Bill still keeps within distance of Kurt Day. Must convert this spare.
Oh, that's a big miss. A big miss for Reinschmidt in the 7th frame, and now Kurt Day really in command of this match.
Well, and unusual for Bill, too. In the 6th game qualifying block, Bill missed only one spare. Where down the stretch, Kurt Day missed a couple of single pins that almost cost him making the final 5, so a reversal of roles here.
Big strike for Day.
Kurt Day really takes control of the match here.
You know, going back to Reinschmidt, he has really throughout his career been a model of consistency. He hasn't really posted the extraordinary numbers. His high game is 279. His high series is only 743. Most of these guys have been around 800 before, but he's such a good spare bowler. He's always around that, 200 to 225 range.
32 pin lead for Kurt Day. He can nearly put the match away here if he comes up with strike in the 8th. Well, you can see he's glad to get away with just a 4-pin there. Looked like double pinochle for a moment. Kurt's trying to send that ball a little bit wider. He, of the two bowlers, has probably the best ability to bring it back from a little wider angle and can send the ball a little bit longer.
Day covers it nicely. A big spare. Now, he's in good shape to advance to the next round. The winner of this match will take on Jim Bain. Bain, of course, has won this tournament a couple of times back in 1981 and 1983.
You can see, Jim, what we've been talking about when Bill got the ball out and let it react through that hook zone. Got the good carry. Maybe a little bit too late, but a big strike in the 8th. And he'll be finishing the match last. Kurt will finish the match first. So Bill will know what he's facing. But here's an opportunity for him to stay in contention.
Well, the minute he let it go, you may have heard him say, he didn't like that one. And that hurts. He really just about needed to strike out on his last 5 shots to have a shot at this.
Well, we mentioned early in the telecast, the bowler that keeps his speed where he wants it is going to survive. And Bill just hasn't been able to find that sweet spot with the right kind of speed. That last delivery, a little too hard. Ball didn't react. Now Kurt bowling in the 9th, 153 through 7 with a spare up. Can shut his opponent out here.
Oh, he rolled that one very nicely. Another strike for Kurt Day. He has been solid in this first game. No tournament jitters whatsoever.
Well, I think the familiarity with bowling a Day's Bowl-A-Dome a big plus in Kurt's behalf. With that strike in the 9th, the foundation frame, he just needs to mark the 10th here, and he can close out his opponent.
A little bit high. He'll take a 9, though, if he can convert. Talking about the foundation, I think he had a deep sigh of relief after those first 2 crossovers in frames 1 and 2. He seemed to relax a little bit after that. He'll always take a little bit of luck in this game. Another conversion for Day. One more ball for him here in the 10th.
Well, the fill ball, should he strike, will give him 213. So he's closed out the match. Bill Reinschmidt couldn't quite find his range early in the match. Had a strike in the 6th to work with, but the open frame in the 7th is what cost him. He can go the distance for 191. Kurt has the match won. He'll go on to
the next level of the stepladder. He's our winner in match number 1.
Kurt Day with a 210 gets a nice hand, so he picks up where he left off yesterday. Yesterday in qualifying, he averaged 211.
Well, that ball is indicative of the opening match here for Bill. A little bit too fast to the line. And couldn't send the ball wide enough, regular enough to be around the pocket. So he'll try and fill the 10. And one of the bad breaks of ball and chopping the 6 off the 10. So tough day for Bill, but there'll be more, I'm sure.
So our first round winner, Kurt Day, with a 210. He knocks off Bill Reinschmidt, who throws a 168. It'll be Day against Jim Bain in match number 2. That one coming up in just a minute. We'll be back with more of the City Match Game Bowling Tournament, brought to you by Reeser and People's State Bank.
You can do it with true value.
Yard work's easy with these Super Spring values, like a Werner 22-inch step stool with safety steps, just $5.55. Store up to 100 feet of cord on a Doska-Sill storage reel, just $4.99. The Springfield 12-inch outdoor thermometer, also just $4.99, is easy to read. And get True Test White Latex House Paint for just $7.98 a gallon at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
Stop in and check out the Reeser Oil Mobile Mart in your neighborhood. It's not just a place to get gas. It now has all the conveniences you need. Reeser Mobile Marts have a variety of groceries, pizza, soda, beer, snack counter, magazines, car care needs. No more waiting in those long grocery store checkout lines. Next time you're filling up with Reeser's brand name gasoline, pick up those little extras at the same time. Reeser Oil Mobile Marts, your most convenient convenience store. 11 North Central Wisconsin locations.
So in match number 2, it's Jim Bain on your right wearing the red and white shirt against Kurt Day. Day, who beat Bill Reinschmidt in match number 1. And we're going to get, Randy, the first look and only look at a left-hander in this tournament.
Only left-hander in the field and a veteran one. 2-time winner of this event. He'll play down the boards, always around the pocket. Good carry, good spare shooter.
Oh, he gets a little break, a big break there, I should say. Almost the big split.
That's the element I was talking about earlier with the carry at Days Wallenham. Get around the pocket, you get those breaks. You get the good carry on the strike ball. You'll also break up the rack, too, when you're a little nosy like Jim was on that shot. Jim with a 278 in his opening game in the 6-game qualifying block, largely due to the fact that he's able to make these spares when he has to.
Nicely done. A mark in the first. Bain finished third in yesterday's 6-game qualifying round, a 1273 total series. Bain, 49 years old, plays out of Tanglewood. As we said, the only lefty in the tournament, and he won twice in 1981 and 1983. He's been bowling for 30 years, and he's probably the veteran of this tournament.
Well, you can't throw it much better than that. And one of the bad breaks of bowling, although he did trip that 4 out of the 4-9 combination. But here's the classic matchup. You've got the left-hander, limited backswing down the boards with more of the arc player or the player that'll swing the ball a little bit in Kurt Day. Good matchup.
Day again with another mark. He has not had an open so far through 1 game and 1 frame. He beat Bill Reinschmidt in our first match. That means Reinschmidt finishes in 5th place. He'll take home $80. The loser of this match will finish in 4th place and take home $120. Now, if you can go all the way to the top and win this thing, you're going to take home $700.
Well, Kurt's still struggling a little bit on number 7. He sent the ball long. The lights, the stepladder final, the pressure will tend to let that elbow fly and get the thumb turned over a little bit and send the ball a little bit straighter. He's swinging the ball nicely on 8, but he hasn't found his rhythm yet on 7. The strategy interesting here, too. Jim Bain, being the higher bowler in the stepladder, elected to start the match Tough spare. Nice conversion for Kurt Day. Jim Bain elected to start the match on 7. So he'll finish first. Kurt, the opposite strategy in our first match, where he elected to have his opponent start the match.
Day's been very good on that 2-4-5-8. He had that in the third frame of game 1. Not an easy spare to convert. He's 2 for 2 on it so far.
Well, this is even tougher. The bucket's tough enough, much less TV lights and the pressure of a championship final. And now Jim will have to go cross alley and a treacherous spare. For the left-hander, the bucket plus the 10-pin, he runs the risk of chopping past the 5, of leaving the 9 if he's not full enough, and then the 10 is just an extra added attraction. But it looks like he's close. Nicely done. Nicely done. Here's that spare bowling again. In our opening match, Bill Reinschmidt with an open frame. That opened the door for Kurt to close him out. So the bowlers have to cover those spares and wait for the strikes.
You've seen Bain bowl a lot more than I have. He's got such a simple delivery. It looks like he's not really prone to getting into any kind of bad habits.
Limited backswing. Lets the ball do the work. Lets the ball roll. Finishes hard. Finds his hook zone. Again, kind of a down-the-boards player. You won't see him swing the ball out to the 3 or 4 board. Whereas Kurt, with a little bit more of an inside-out swing, will arc that ball further and bring it across more boards. He's the power player. Jim's the stroker.
Bain with 2 spares and a strike. Day with 2 spares, trying to keep pace here in the third. Another solid 10. Rolling it well.
There's the soft 10. A little bit too much speed. Ball wasn't quite high enough in the pocket. This will be a test for Kurt here. He's left a couple of tough spares in his first 2 matches. Got a couple of breaks with the crossover strikes. And under these conditions, this 10-pin is no cakewalk. So this is an important spare for him.
Randy, as far as I'm concerned, the 10-pin is never a cakewalk under any conditions.
Hard and straight. You saw him bend that wrist down a little bit. Didn't get quite so far behind the ball. Send it cross alley. Take some of that hook off and convert it.
We're here at the Days Bulladome in Wausau, Wisconsin for the 11th annual City Match Game Tournament, and we're in our second match of the day. Jim Bain and Kurt Day hooked up at a good one.
Same situation again for Kurt on number 7. And the adjustment, again, isn't as much your target or your feet as it is the speed. To not send the ball quite so far, let it roll, get it down a little bit earlier. Now you'll go cross alley, and our match is even. Our match is even.
Our defending champion, Scott Durkee, wasn't able to be here this year. Kind of an interesting story with the war in the Middle East. His reserve unit was called up to Fort Sheridan, Illinois. Scott did not go over to the Middle East, but that's where he is right now, so he didn't get a chance to defend. Hopefully he'll be back here next year.
Jim Bain finds the range with a big double on number 4. So he gets the first double of the match and takes an 11-pin lead. Jim just a steady player. Doesn't have a career 300, not a career 800, but as steady as the rising and setting sun.
He needed a little help there and didn't quite get it. A 9 count. He won this thing twice, as we told you. He's also finished 3rd, 4th, and 6th, and we were talking to him about other finishes, and he wasn't quite sure, but you can pretty much bet every year he's in it, he's in the top 10.
Well, he's just steady. Makes those spares. It makes the little subtle adjustments. Good control of his swing and his speed.